Hello, welcome to Mart's garage. The weather has suddenly warmed up today from what it was yesterday. I stripped this engine down yesterday. Look at it now. Look at these bores. These were perfect yesterday. I wish I hadn't have stripped this engine down now. Wow, never seen anything like that before, that quickly. Okay, righto. Bit upset about that. Well, there you go. That's what it's like having an unheated garage when the weather suddenly warms up. Okay, take care then. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. Hello. I'll flip the block upside down. I've wiped it all over with a towel. I've pushed a towel through the bores and oiled the bores. They'll probably need, you know, a little bit of honing. You can still see some sort of rusty sort of remnants in there. I've just been in the shed and retrieved the crank. This is the crank that I repaired, and you can see a little bit of rust on this, and it's wet on this end. This end was exposed. This bit's not too bad. This bit was covered up. There's a little bit of rust here and there. That's the crank that I took out yesterday. You can see this is all soaking wet. But I'm going to put this one in with its bearings. These are the bearings that were with it. But I'm going to put this one in with its bearings, and I think basically the quicker I can get this in and the bearings on and the caps on and get everything back in, the better it will be from the point of view of condensation and things like that. So I'm going to take the bearings off there, clean them, clean this area here, oil the bearings and put the crank in. I'm hoping that I can drop the crank in at the right relationship without having to take the front cover off. Hello, I put the bearings in. They're the bearings that were on that crank before. So I'm going to oil them, wipe the main bearing journals on the crank, oil them and put the crank into the block. Okay. It doesn't want to go on there, so I think I'll turn it. Sorry, I'm standing this side, but I can stand closer this side than I can that side. Okay, I'm not happy about this because it doesn't want to go in. Plus I've just noticed that there's a bit of rust there, so I think I'll take it out again. Well, I haven't changed anything, so I don't know why it should be any different, but I'll try it again. I think this side of the thing might be fouling on there. Okay, let's take it out again. Bear in mind, I haven't tried this in a block. Okay, don't drop it, Mart. I think this gap here isn't wide enough to take that flange. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tap this out and then offer the crank in again and see if it fits okay without this piece. If it does fit okay with it without this piece, I will put this back on the lathe and machine that bit there. So let's get this out of here. One thing always leads to another, doesn't it? Yeah, that feels better. And that's gone in. When that throw is virtually downwards like that, that's top dead centre there. This big throw. That's gone in now. Yeah, that's in, you see. So the problem is this flange here is too wide. And I can get an idea by looking at this one here. Okay, righto. So this will have to go back on the lathe and get machined. Or I could machine this, but that's not the point. This is pretty thin there. And you can see where I've scratched it by trying to push the crank in. So this that there needs to be machined. Okay, back to the drawing board. Yeah, it's almost there. Yeah, okay. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? So, not out of the woods yet, but this seems okay. I think what I'll do before I put that in, I will put the other main cap on and torque it down, and the others as well, and then check for end float to see what we've got. Does that sound like a good idea? Yeah, I think I'll do that. I don't know how other people do it, but to get these out, I'll just put a screwdriver down there like that and just start teasing it out like that. Don't go mad. See, that's a bit worn, isn't it? That's the other bearing. Oh, okay. Oh, I probably can't put this on, can I? Because this has got the same thing, hasn't it? Look, it's got this, so I probably can't put this on. No, it's not going to work. Okay. That's the bearing I've just took out the engine, and this is the one with the built-up surface. But what you can see there's a groove there and there. I've got to put those grooves into this bearing. I've done it on that piece, but I haven't done it on this piece. Okay. Well, that can sit there for a few minutes while I go and check what's happening on the lathe. Yeah, I can feel that now. Of course, the lathe's soaking wet, isn't it? The lathe's absolutely dripping with water. I think it's a bit hard as well. What do you think? I took a bit off, and if I go like that and then go straight in instead of on the angle, see what that does. I'm really compromised on the travels I've got. Can't see either, can I? Well, it looks a bit better from the back side, excuse the expression. Okay, we'll call it good at that then and hope that that gives us the clearance that we need. I think it's safe to say that that tip is trashed. Okay, let's try it in the engine again. Oil. This crap. Oh, okay. That's gone in now. Yeah, that's gone in nicely now. Okay, that's square. That's up towards the cylinder. I'll probably end up taking that off just to check. Yeah, that's top dead centre. Yeah, have a look down the bore. See that crank throw is top dead centre. I've got the tripod on the end of this camera. Right, and that's in. That's good, isn't it? I don't know if this will work at all, just don't know. Or if it'll go tight, or the end float will be too small. Okay. These are 12mm washers, and they're such a loose fit on a 12mm that they go on a 1/2 inch. Let's see what happens when I tighten this up then. Spot the YouTuber. That's actually quite tight. Not tight like 70, but you know, it's about 40, something like that. Oh, it does turn. Okay, that turns. Don't feel like there's a lot of end play though. Well, it just feels a bit tight. Oh no, that feels fine, that does. Yeah, feels good. It does feel a little bit loose and tight, but I think it's okay. You know, it'll wear in, won't it? That's turning quite easily. Let's put the other mains on and check that it's still okay then. Okay. The tabs always go to the same side. I always seem to be just doing an exercise in basically how badly you can build a flathead and still survive. What's the bets? It's fine, look. Feels alright. I can feel the tiniest bit of tight loose, tiniest bit. But look, that's one finger. That's alright, and that's turning the all the valves as well. Whether I've got the timing right is another matter, but you know, hey. Okay, well that was interesting, wasn't it? That little bit of extra machining I had to do. I'm going to check the end float, but even if the end float is very small, I'm tempted to just leave it, because even if the end float is very small, even down to like 1/2 thou or something like that, it does turn nicely, and I'm sure with the good oil pressure that this engine generates, it will get plenty of oil, and it will always be flooded with oil and should be able to cope, and it'll just wear in nicely, hopefully. There's always a tiny bit of resistance to movement first of all, but then it just turns nice and freely. That really is turning nice and easy, and that should be top dead centre there. So in theory, if that's top dead centre, number 6 valve should be working. here are number 6 valves. Oh, they're not rocking. Hang on, let's turn it another. So these are at the point of rocking there. They're just at the point of rocking there. Okay, so that crank throw ought to be visible down that cylinder in the middle, and it is. And you can see down that cylinder that the crank throw is central. If it was a tooth out, it would be quite a long way out from there. You can see down there, there's the crank throw. I'm going to leave this as it is now, other than oiling up those bearings and things, and I'm going to find something to cover it up with and put a bit more oil on it and call it good. That's a good little session there, including a little bit more lathe work. Okay, thanks for joining me in the garage then. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hello. I've come out to the garage today. This is the day after that day where I did the video with all the condensation. This motor's not too bad. But anyway, I've just set up a dial indicator to measure the crank end float. So let's have a look, see what that is. Right, I'm pushing the crank back. Oh, that's it. I think everything should be okay. Everything moved, but I think the camera and the thing are on the same place. So that's reading almost 0. Okay, that's as close as damn it is to swearing. Let's call that 0. So that's with the crank pushed back. Okay, let's pull the crank forward. Okay, so that looks like 3 thou plus a tiny little bit. So we've got 3 thou end float. I think I'd say that's pretty good, to be honest. Let's turn the crank 180 degrees. I'll set it so it's pushed back. No, I'll set it so it's pulled forward. Okay, we'll call that 0. Now that's pushed forward, isn't it? I'll push it back now. Okay, that's actually about nearly 4 thou. Let's go 90 degrees. Oh, let's... That feels like slightly tight at that point there. So let's see what it is here. Let's do the same. Let's start with it pushed forward. that's forward. Okay, that's close enough to 0. Right, now that was forward, wasn't it? Let's push it back then. Okay. What does that say? That is 1, 2, 3 thou. Okay, 3 thou then. 3 to 4 thou. Let's call it good at that. It's not 0, is it? It's not 0 and it's not 25, so 3 to 4 thou. It's easier for me to read the clock through the camera than it is in real life. I can't find my glasses that I've got, they're extra strong. Okay, so we'll call it good at that. We'll say that that crank's good, the bearings are good. So I will now continue to reassemble the motor. For anybody that was wondering, I was just using this lever and I was kind of pushing it forward in there like that and pushing it back in there like that, pushing against there. We'll call it good at that. 3,000 sounds pretty good to me. It'd be interesting to see what it's like after it's done a few thousand miles, which could be in a couple of years. But anyway, hey ho. So what I will do then, I will take out these washers, put the tab washers in and torque them up, and then I will put the pistons and rods in, and somewhere I've got the bearings that we used on this engine. I'll put those bearings back in because I think the big ends on this one are a different size to the other one, the one I've just took out. Okay, righto, I will bring you back when there's more to show. Cheers then, back in a bit. Hello, here's my motor. This part here is completely untouched, it's still got oil in it from before. I've refitted all the pistons and rings, pistons, rods, bearings. This crank's the same size as the other crank, so I did actually just reuse the bearings that were already in it. I've just kind of wiped the head faces over, but I've left these gasket remnants on, because what I'm thinking is I'll just put the head back on with the existing gasket. I don't expect this engine to be together for a very long time. I expect to be able to just run it, prove that the crank's okay, and then it'll probably get rebuilt, you know, bored out and rebuilt. But I'm willing to just give it a go as it is, and just see how it goes. If the head gasket goes, I'll just change it, it's not a problem. I've got both the doors open today because I wanted a little bit of through draft, because yesterday was the day when we had all that condensation, and it's a little bit better today. It's kind of dried out okay today a bit. There's a little bit here and there, but not too bad. Here's the bottom side. I've torqued the mains up 80 to 90. These are all on and torqued, but I haven't put the pal nuts on. Yeah, so I'll just put the pal nuts on, and the bottom end's done. I think I might fit a different oil pump for the sake of experimentation. So I can fit an oil pump and clean all the gaskets. I think I'm just going to reuse the existing gaskets, because like I say, this engine, I don't expect it to be together till eternity. I don't want to tempt fate that it's going to explode. I'm not saying that, but you know, I expect it to run for a year or so, and then I'll probably rebuild it. Just an experiment to see if I've been able to successfully reclaim this crank. I want to get the engine kind of back together because of the weather fluctuations lately. It makes it very damp, you know, and I want to get the engine together, so just to protect it a bit. I've got plenty of oil all around the bores and all over everything. So yeah, quite pleased with my progress today. Thanks very much for joining me in the garage then. I'm going to do what all the other YouTubers do and say the usual things. Don't forget to click like, and if you haven't, subscribe. It helps the channel and helps, you know, the YouTube algorithms get the views and things like that. So if you can do that, I'll be very grateful. Thank you very much. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.